Today, I want to talk about the tech market because as someone who is very passionate about technology as a whole, and as someone who is an investor in the tech market, I want to kind of do a deeper dive as to my thought process why this sector is so important and why I believe it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Now, big caveat, obviously, to all this is that I am not a financial advisor. I am not your financial advisor, so don't take this as financial advice. This is me looking at it from a research point of view, and I just want you to take this as a learning experience about where my headspace is about my excitement for this sector. I have invested in tech stock companies since maybe 2013, 2014, like individual companies. And I was actually kind of doing it wrong, but we'll get to there in a second. But I started off buying Apple, and then I bought Microsoft, Google, Amazon, you name it. I bought a little bit of all that a long time ago, as well as other things. And the biggest jackpot I feel like I kind of got because of my nerdiness of it all is I bought Tesla stock really early in the 2010s. Now, I've covered multiple stories with Tesla and my history with it, so if you're interested in that, you can check out those videos later. But long story short, I sold all my Tesla stock because I wanted to redeploy that cash somewhere else. As of recording this, I still own Apple stock and I still own T-Mobile stock, mainly because those are products or services I still use. But I am slowly reducing my positions in those because where I went wrong about a decade ago is that I should have never bought individual stocks. Something that's more interesting to me is index funds, ETFs, a basket of companies, and you can buy it based off of sectors, not just S&P 500 or total market or international. It can be even in specific sectors, finance, health, or in my case, tech. Because my investing firm is Fidelity, I actually invest with FTech. And FTech is going to become one of my largest positions that I hold in the future. But I'm doing it by dollar cost averaging, buying it slowly at a time, month after month, so I can mitigate my volatility no matter what happens. But it is my belief and my bet to myself that tech is still not going anywhere. And this is the sector I want to be in because it has all these companies that are known and companies that are soon to be known. Let me explain. When we look at FTech, the top 10 holdings, I'm sure you know most, if not all, these names. I'm talking Apple, I'm talking Nvidia, Microsoft, Oracle, IBM. But this particular ETF holds about 300 companies, all tech. So when you go past the top 10 holdings, now you're seeing other stuff that you may or may not be familiar with. For example, Qualcomm. Even if we don't know what Qualcomm is, we do know what it does because it was the cellular that we were using in iPhones up until the iPhone 16e got announced. So now it looks like Apple's moving away from Qualcomm, but they're not going anywhere, regardless if they have Apple or not. A company that's been on my radar as well is a company called Palantir. Now, what they do is software-based AI applications. So where you have NVIDIA, AMD, etc., those are the chips. Those are the semiconductors that power AI. But what about the software? That's not built in-house necessarily, to tell you the truth, if you think about it. We could put our skin on it, just like Siri would put its skin on it, but you still might be accessing ChatGPT. But the actual software that powers it is currently somewhat of a monopoly, and that's Palantir. So much so that they're the only company that has a contract with the US government, the DoD, for doing AI software analysis, research, improvement. And I believe that a company like Palantir will climb very big in a short amount of time, maybe something to that of what we saw with NVIDIA. Now we all know what NVIDIA is, but I would bet nobody really knew who NVIDIA was about maybe, let's say, 5-10 years ago. But the best part of having this ETF, FTech, is that regardless of whatever happens in the market, this sector will self-manage itself. It will adjust as needed. This isn't a set it and done and now it will always have Apple on top. Things will adjust as time happens. So let's say AI is a fluke and we got it all wrong and something else is going to come back. Maybe it's Web3 again or something with crypto, God forbid. But if there was, then FTech would come in, the ETF, and allocate its holdings to have the proper companies that will do that as an investor. Now, someone who likes to research this market and see what other companies are doing outside of Apple, I like to look at an ETF like FTech because then I can see what these other companies are and do further research into it. Because I'm a nerd like that. I like to research all these other companies. I didn't know anything about Palantir until about 2024. Now, I've been watching this particular company like a hawk. One, because they're based in Colorado. I'm based in Colorado currently. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I used to watch Qualcomm like a hawk because they're based in San Diego. I'm from San Diego, so I knew the company. But I like to see what the market thinks in a way better way, in a more curated way than I could ever do by seeing what these other ETFs, and not just Fidelity, it could be Vanguard or whoever, to see what these companies are holding in these holdings. I can now be like, all right, this is something that should be on someone's radar eventually. And it gives me an idea of where the market is heading. In any way, shape, or form, we can't predict what the market's going to do. That's impossible. But we can get an idea of what's driving things forward right now. And it is my belief, especially since Apple now entered the game of it, it's my belief that AI is going to be on the forefront for at least the next 5 years. For the rest of the 2020s, I think AI is going to have a big role in this. And then maybe we'll move towards more of the VR, AR, or MR computing side of things again, and maybe we'll get those glasses or something. But for now, the technology might not be there. But AI seems to be there, especially because China's trying to get in on this now. This is going to be a very volatile time. So by no means is this a place to even invest in if you're looking for stability. This is where exciting things kind of happen, where people are going to do trial and error. And there will be trial and there will be error. Things will fail. But I'm not retiring, at least from the investment market stance, anytime soon. So I'm going to kind of play around with it. And me as an investor, I'd rather buy ETFs and index funds than individual stocks anymore because it helps mitigate my risk. And the truth is, I just got lucky with Tesla. I'm not some investing genius who's like, oh, this is how we do it. I followed my passion, and EVs were my passion in the 2010s. My passion now is probably more of a convenience based, and I see convenience and AI going hand in hand, two sides of the same coin here. But I might be wrong. We'll see. But if I'm ever doing research on anything and I ever talk about the market, it's because I'm probably looking at index funds like FTech or alike and seeing what the market is responding to those things, good and bad. So there's my insight on that. I'll see you guys later.